Being a Kid. Ugh. Read by the author, Tracy R.L. O'Flaherty. Chapter 15. Choose Love. The Easter Bunny, Santa, the Tooth Fairy, and the tales we tell ourselves. The tales that feel like reality. The Easter Bunny to deliver goodies, chocolates, and treats, to be found in a search of all things hidden. Wonderful Santa that has the ability to create a space to sculpt children. The imaginary man that keeps children in line all year. For are you naughty or nice? And if you want anything at Christmas from a Santa Claus that isn't even real, you better behave. You better watch out. You better not cry, for Santa is coming to town. We tell these stories to ourselves, for isn't it true that if we feel we line all things up, there is a reward? Do all things in the right order that others wish you to do, and all things will be good. The Tooth Fairy truly has an easy job. Money under a pillow in exchange for a tooth. There is no conditioning. There isn't even a search. For a child just has to wake and place their hand under their pillow to receive what was promised by the imaginary Tooth Fairy, what was promised by parents and caretakers. What is the promise when we make up stories? What is the promise that if we don't follow the rules, punishment is ours to hold? Who wrote the rules? Who made up the Tooth Fairy? Does anyone know? Who created the Easter Bunny and Santa? And who creates our deceit to ourselves? People can tell stories. People can express a story to create a more interesting story. Isn't it funny how people love to share what other people are doing, and yet nobody wants anybody to talk about them? Nobody wants anybody to talk about them in haste or unkindness. But don't we all want praise beyond praise? Don't we wish to be good for Santa? Don't we wish to find the treasures we seek with our empty baskets? Don't we wish to find money under our pillow, under the mattress? For isn't it all very fascinating? Gossip is a story. Gossip about others is always a story. Nobody wants to be gossiped about. Nobody wants others to see a dim light in which one feels they stand, and yet so many will shine a spotlight on someone else's troubles and perceived flaws. Isn't that fascinating? Treat others the way you wish to be treated. Fine words of wisdom. But how do we treat ourselves? The condemning upon ourselves. Does it ever stop trying to please someone, trying to please ourselves? Self-condemnation is the destruction of the story that says you are divine perfection. The story that holds the truth of who you are becomes a lie when you see yourself as anything but divine light. When you punish yourself with unkind, thoughtless, and harsh words, you do prevent the love that you are born with, the love that is yours. So many think love is nothing but heartache and disappointment, for don't we all have roles to play? A parent should always do the right thing and make the correct choices. But parents are human. Parents are conditioned in their own fashion with their own life experience that stems back to their childhood. Where does it start to please others? And why is it so painful when we don't measure up? Measure up to what? Who placed the bar, and what is the measurement? What is the punishment? What is the reward? I find it all very fascinating why people do what they do. I find it very fascinating how I have made choices not knowing what to do. I have made choices with the grandest knowing of perfection and have it all collapse at my feet in disappointment. Isn't that grand? Isn't that wonderful? To learn so much in one lifetime? Isn't it wonderful to see yourself in the dim light we place, only to discover that it was all a lie? It is easy, very easy, to get caught up in a world of hurtful events, hurtful words by others, but mostly from ourselves, not realizing the destruction of one's brilliance and confidence. A parent beating upon themselves is so easily found, and doing their best to condition the child not to say unkind things. It is a lie to ourselves. To encourage another and yet beat upon ourselves. To share all that is good with another and beat upon oneself. To sculpt a child for excelling in life and yet feel as though one is a failure. Failure at what? Failure at what? Nothing is a failure until the word is used, until the feeling of failing is felt. Why do we hang on to words and feelings that just aren't bloody true? There isn't anything that truly fails. There isn't anyone that truly fails when one can see themselves and their experiences as gifts. The gift of oneness to explore oneself. How can anyone fail at being their authentic self? The failure comes forth because of the lies that tell us that we are a failure. Who says the words? Who conveys such harshness? Who believes they are anything but eternal light coming forth to experience life, to experience emotions of life, the emotions of the contrast? We come forth to discover love, and yet each is holding hatred, not only for experiences, not only for others that have caused great pain and suffering. We hold hatred among our very being of feeling less than. Feeling less than. Does that have anything to do with Santa bringing or not bringing as a reward? Of course. Just ask the girl that received crayons and a coloring book when her friend received what felt like the world of all what the other wanted, all that she wanted. Why couldn't she have the same? She was good all year, and she was good under harsh conditions of poverty already in place. And she was punished with crayons. Think about it. think deeply about it. Where do we start feeling badly? When do we start to feel that we don't measure up? Who starts that ball rolling? Santa? Ponder it deeply, for as children we look to the ones that are to be trusted, and yet there are families that the trusting one did the most damage with abuse and abandonment. The child that hears endless words of abuse, the child beaten on a daily basis, the child that suffers in the hands of the one they are to trust. God, how does it all work? How do we find a space to feel unworthy and helpless, hopeless, and beaten? How do we grow to be adults that find a place to repeat the pattern? How? Perhaps starting here would make sense. Starting here would make sense.